Today on r/IDontWorkHereLady. Dressed inappropriately for a job I don't have. Last weekend it was very warm for this part of the country. I was wearing a tank top and some jean shorts, so I had a lot of skin showing. Nothing indecent though, just bare arms and legs, and I might have had some cleavage showing. My husband and I were going to have a barbecue for some friends of his, so I went down to the grocery store to pick up a few final items. While I'm looking at the beans trying to decide how much we need, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turn around to come face to face with an older lady who was definitely overdressed for the weather. I ask politely, "May I help you?" And she replies, "Don't you think you're dressed appropriately for this job?" I was confused and so replied, "Well, yes, but I'm not at my job right now. I work in a hospital as a lab technician." She scoffed and said, "Well, we'll see what Dave has to say about this." Dave is apparently the manager and a friend of hers, so she races off to find him, and I'm just looking at beans, still trying to figure out how much we need. Just as I put a couple cans into my basket, the lady comes down the aisle, with who I assume is Dave, wearing a manager-type apron. She's pointing at me and saying, "Do you let your employees wear things like that? It's shameful." Dave looks at me, starts to look at me like he knows me, then shakes his head and tells the lady she doesn't work here. The lady looks at me and tells Dave of course she works here. I've seen her stocking shelves and working at the register. It's absolutely shameful that you allow her to wear that on the floor. Dave looks at me, then as if a light bulb went off in his head, takes his walkie-talkie and calls for someone named Linda to report to whatever aisle we were on. The lady is still berating him for what I'm wearing, again nothing wrong with it, just showing a lot of skin for it being such a hot day, when Linda comes into the aisle. I was shocked, she looked exactly like me when I was back in high school. It was like looking 10 years back in time, and I'm sure for her, she got a glimpse of what she would look like 10 years from now. Linda walks up to us asking what's up, and the lady quietly says, "My mistake," and starts to walk back down the aisle. But she has to get a last jab in, so she turns around and tells me, "Do you actually go in public like that? That's just wrong, tempting men with your nearly unclothed body. I'm married, by the way. The only man I have to tempt is my husband, and that's not hard to do." Dave had me and Linda pose together for a picture. He was also astonished at how close we looked to each other. For our next story. Fired from Walgreens I never worked at. In fact, I have never worked at any Walgreens. So this was some 10 years ago, and while the conversation is paraphrased, I remember it like it was yesterday. So, background. At the time I was working Grave and Swing as a casino player's host in Reno, NV. For those who don't know what this job is, we take care of the high rollers. Make sure they get comps, dining and hotel reservations, get invites to tournaments, limo rides, you name it. I wore a nice black blazer with a name tag, slacks, comfortable but professional shoes, hair, and makeup done. The days I worked Swing I was off at 3 a.m., but after waiting for bus and the ride home, I would make it to my place at about 5 a.m. Directly across the street from my home was a Walgreens. I stopped in a lot of mornings to grab a protein shake, pick up prescriptions, etc. But on Wednesday mornings they put out a lot of clearance items. You could snag small appliances dirt cheap. So I was always there on Wednesdays stocking up on Christmas and birthday presents, etc. The employees and manager knew me by sight, and some by name. I was usually a zombie after work, I think like most people, LOL, and this Wednesday was no different. I was looking over the latest selection, trying to decide if I needed a new coffee maker, or just wanted one because it was clearance for like $5. A woman was next to me, speaking Tagalog into her phone. I don't speak it, but Reno has a pretty large Filipino community, so I could at least recognize it. Her language is not important to the story. It just struck me how odd the little things we remember are. She finished her conversation and looked at me. "Can I get a discount on this?" I don't remember what this was. Some small appliance. The box is smashed up. No idea, I told her. But I would ask to plug it in to test it before I bought it if the box is damaged. I have no idea if anyone can actually do that, but it seemed reasonable to me. "Why would you sell something that doesn't work?" she demanded. I had no idea at this point she thought I worked there. I thought she was making conversation. In my defense, I was half asleep and just wanted a good deal on a danged stick blender. "Oh," I told her, "I absolutely wouldn't sell it, but I'm not in the business of selling things anyway." "Oh, so you are too good and important to sell things that is just for the low employees?" I finally looked at her. Until then I was pretty focused on staying awake. I could see she was getting angry. It dawned on me that I still had my name tag on. I slipped it off. They are the kinds with magnets, not pins, and stuck it in my pocket. "Oh, sorry, I forgot to take this off. I don't actually," I started to say, "I don't work here." But she was having none of that. "Oh, you think you are too good to help me? Just because I am Filipina?" She may have said Filipino, I confess I don't know which is correct and going only off memory. "My money is good, you," she said something in Tagalog that did not sound flattering. You think you can trick me taking off your name tag? I just sighed. I don't want your money. I don't work here. I'm shopping. Please leave me alone. She ignored everything I just said except for, oh, you won't be getting my money because you need to give me this free for not helping me. Ma'am, I tried to reason with her. I can't give you that. I really don't work here. If you take it without paying, that is stealing. Oh, now you think I am poor and a thief? WTF. Where did poor come from? I want to talk to the manager of the whole store. Lady, I turned back to the shelf. I wish you would effing talk to anyone but me. I didn't swear because I was angry. I just have a potty mouth. She stomped off her heels, making little tick 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 sounds on the linoleum. I decided I did need another coffee maker. And that stick blender. As I was putting both in my cart, I hear tick 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 tick. Great, she's back. But she is not alone. Tom, the store manager, was with her. There she is, the woman shrieked. She called me a poor thief and said a swear at me. I want you to fire her and make her poor. Weird obsession with poverty. Tom looked at me confused. What is happening? I grinned and held up my coffee maker. Shopping. Tom was even more confused. But why are you insulting her and swearing? She thinks I work here and wanted me to let her steal an appliance. Okay, I know a bit of an exaggeration, but she started it. This was the moment that her medication stopped working. In a very loud mix of English and Tagalog, she shrieked out our entire interaction. Surprisingly, she told it correctly too. Except that I didn't put my name tag away to trick her. Tom was done at this point. He just looked at me and said, "You're fired." The woman grinned maliciously at me, grabbed her smashed-up box, and stormed off with Tom as I shrugged, and made my way over to the allergy medication. Or some other area of the store. I don't 100% remember, but I have terrible allergies, so that seems likely. At the register, Tom asked me what really happened. I told him everything, including how I told her I wished she'd effing talk to anyone but me. Tom laughed and told me I was still fired. Yay! I grinned. Do I get a severance package? Tom laughed harder. To be fair, you did swear at her. Plus, you don't actually work here, so no severance package. That's it. I shopped there for many years before I moved. I never saw her again, so I am sure she went uncontent with getting me fired and making me poor. Let's dive into our next story. Restaurant customer flags down a non-employee to take their order. He takes their money and leaves. I originally submitted this to r/tales from your server, but I was told it definitely belongs here as well. Not me, but happened to my friend this past weekend. I am still absolutely flabbergasted at the balls on this guy. My friend is the GM at a very busy barcade in our city. This part is important because of the nature of the business. People don't get traditional table service like you would at a regular sit-down restaurant. People are constantly moving around to play games, and when they need food will generally go to the bar, order, or get a number, and a server will find them at the MS Pac-Man, or whatever, and drop it off. Woman comes up to my friend and says she ordered food a long time ago and nothing has come out yet. Friend looks at the computer, sees no pending food orders, asks around to all of the bartenders and servers who said they hadn't taken any orders from this woman. She rings in the woman's food but is now obsessed about getting to the bottom of it. She asks the woman what the guy was wearing or did he have a bar apron on. She says no, and my friend informs her that the only FOH people not in aprons are herself and the door guy. Door guy did not take this food order. She goes back to the office to review the cameras to see if she can figure out what happened. And guess what? This woman flagged down a guy she thought was an employee, asked if he could take their order, and the guy said, "Sure." He then proceeds to quote them a random amount of money, takes their cash, and leaves. That is some serious catch me if you can shoot. Friend was honestly more impressed than mad. Our last story for today. I can't cover the shift because I don't work for you. Well, this is kind of fresh off the press since it happened about 3 hours ago. Background: I'm a registered nurse that used to work in a major hospital until last November when they fired me. I had just finished my work for the day, I work deliveries now, when my phone rang. I was expecting a call, so I made the rookie mistake of not checking the phone number. From now on, me is me, HM is the hospital manager. Me: hello. HM: hello? I need you to cover the night shift tonight. Me: what? We don't have night shifts in my current job. Who is this? HM: I'm the manager at Big Name Hospital. I need you to cover the night shift tonight. Me, finally knowing who was calling: how much? HM: what? Me: how much will you pay me to cover the shift? HM: well, you will get double OT on top of the normal payment, about 100 euros for 8 hours. Me: since I don't work for the hospital, I want 350 euros. HM: no, you have a contract. Me: you fired me last November. So, if I come in to cover, I'll come as independent contractor and my price is 350 euros. If you find the money, call me. And hang up. He hasn't called me yet. And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.